An important aspect of culture is this idea of individual, or actually, it should be, let me change this. This should really be um, individualism versus collectivism. Whoops. And think about these two terms. We're going to see this applies at a society or a cultural level. So think about the individualism approach. As the name implies, the focus is on the individual. So think about if we compare these, look at these two graphics. An individualist perspective sees the self as separate from other people. So separate from your family, your friends, your co-workers. You're an individual, you're separate, so it's keeping you apart from that. But in the collectivism society, think about the word collective. We're talking about a group. So here in this diagram, we can see that the self is part, or I should say the other people in your life, your family, your friends, your co-workers, are part of who you are. And so there's some big difference between these two things, and we find that cultures emphasize usually one view versus the other. As I mentioned in the notes, many Western societies like the United Kingdom, United States, and so forth, we have more of an individualist perspective, and that makes a big difference in how you see yourself. And so let's look at some of these differences. Now, if we look at an individualist, so the first one, everyone grows up to look after themselves and their family. So this chart's actually, I recreated this chart in your notes, so you don't have to worry about it there. So the individual is important. So your own needs, we're going to see, tend to be more important than other people's. A good example is if you think about the United States, we see the individual as more important. Think about our basic law. You are innocent until proven guilty, and your rights in the sense as an individual are more important than the rights of society. Now that might sound strange, but if you think about it, let's say you commit a crime but you weren't read your Miranda rights. You might get off of that crime even if you are guilty because your rights were violated. Your individual rights were violated, even though you might pose a danger to society. Whereas in a collective culture, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. A good example is in Japan. If we compare Japan versus the United States, in the United States we have a saying, the squeaky wheel gets greased. And so the idea is if one person makes some noise or makes some kind of commotion about something, people will listen to them and their needs will be addressed. But in Japan, it's just the opposite. Their saying is, the nail that sticks up will get hammered down. Something to that effect. I don't remember the exact wording. But what they mean by that is, if you stick out, so if you're a nail sticking up, you're not fitting in with the rest of society. And as a result, you're going to be forced to conform because the needs of the group is more important than the needs of the individual. I've seen a video where somebody was talking about why that might be. And it's kind of interesting. This person was suggesting that one possible reason, because there's many, is that because Japan is a tiny island and has a lot of natural disasters, earthquakes, volcanoes, tsunamis, so forth, that people all have to work together to survive. So think about the more primitive time. If you got somebody who didn't go along with what the village said they should do, like evacuate or help out with this, then that puts the whole village at jeopardy of not surviving that natural disaster because you aren't doing your part. Whereas in the United States, we don't have those kind of issues, and so it's easier for us. We can afford for the individual to have their needs met. So if we look at this comparison, think about again differences here. Thinking of yourselves in terms of I versus we. Again, with this idea of a collective, you're always thinking about the group. And again, Japan's a pretty good example. Like the video I have below here about what not to do in Japan is a great example of some of the differences. Because think about you're more concerned in the collective in culture about the needs of other people. So you're going to do what's best for the group, even if it's not best for you. And we can see that. So think about here, harmony and consensus in society are the ultimate goal. We see that with a collectivist society, but an individualist society, it's all about you. What do you want to do? So maybe what you want to do is more important than maybe what your family needs you to do, or more important than what your group needs you to do. So think about when it comes in terms of self-concept, that's going to make a difference in how you see yourself. Do you think of yourself in terms of a group, or do you think of yourself as an individual? And think about, again, in the United States, we really want to try to make ourselves be different from everybody else. Think about adolescence. That's the big thing. You want to fit in, but you also want to be unique and cool. But at the same time, there's a little bit of a balance there. You do want to fit into the group because you want to be accepted. So there's a little bit of that, but eventually we encourage people to be themselves, to be who they want to be, not who everybody else wants them to be. So I'm hoping that helps explain it a little bit more. And think about it, this has a lot of impacts on a variety of things in life, not only how you see yourself, but the kind of decisions you make. If you're always concerned about what's best for the group, whether that be your family, your society, your neighborhood, your employment, that's going to make a difference. So think about, you might not want to change jobs as quickly because you're worried about the company you work for. You care about them, you care about your coworkers. Now that might put them at a disadvantage if they have to find somebody to replace you. Or as an individual society, we're like, hey, whatever job will give me the best benefits and best pay, that's where I'm going. I don't care about loyalty to my current employer or whatever else.